Hello boys and girls. Today we are going to be practicing how to do PowerPoint. Being that this is your first PowerPoint presentation for this year, I want to be able to introduce this to you so that you are able to go back and review this in case you get stuck. The first thing that shows up on your screen when you open PowerPoint is a blank page that has a title and a subtitle. On this page you will click to add your title. Your title will be your famous person or your state or your famous African American that you have chosen to research. In this case, I am going to use Martin Luther King Jr. In this section, you will then write by Amber Brooks or whatever your name is. One thing that I would like to mention is that you will wait to do any fonts, backgrounds, transitions, and pictures until the very end of your PowerPoint. From here, your first page is done. You just now need to click on New Slide. Once you click on New Slide, which is up here, you now have a title. So if I was doing Martin Luther King, I would be choosing, or I would start my first page with childhood. In this particular section here is where you're going to be adding the information or the research that you have found about his childhood. You will do bullet points, so very briefly you would write his birth date, which is January 15th, 1929. And then their day of death, if they are actually deceased, which is April 5th, 1968. From here, this is where you will continue to add other facts and information about Martin Luther King Jr. or whoever you are actually researching. Once you are done inputting the information about their childhood, you will then move on and click up here where it says New Slide again. Once you add a new slide, you are then going to click to add your title from here. And here is where you are going to be talking to me about their achievements or what they are actually famous for or what they have achieved during their lifetime, which makes them important to your research. And again, you will continue to write it in bullet form, not a paragraph, and only choosing the most important facts during this research. From here, you will click a new slide again, and you will talk about what other family life. So did they have a wife? Did they get married? Did they have children? Another slide that you can do is going to be their education. Some of the people that you are researching, for example, if you are doing Pocahontas, you are not going to find a lot of information about their education or even their childhood or family life. So in this case, you will be spending more of your time looking at what their achievements are and what makes them important to American history. Again, you will write down their education. Did they graduate from high school? Did they not graduate? Did they go to college? Did they not go? Etc. Last but not least, you are going to add your final slide, which is going to be your references guide or your bibliography. This is where you are going to take the packet of information that you should have in front of you of all your documented resources, and you are then going to type them out here. From here is where you get to do the really fun part, which is where you get to be creative with your PowerPoint presentation, such as adding pictures to your presentation or transitions. If you are wanting to change your fonts for your particular PowerPoint presentation, you would need to make sure that you highlight the information that you are wanting to change the font to. Please remember, though, that when you are choosing a font, it has to be something that is going to be easily read from afar from the PowerPoint screen. So for example, and I know that I have a lot of fancy fonts that you will not have access to, but for example, if I clicked one like this with the paw prints, this is not something that would be very easily readable from far away, or even in my case, close up to my screen. So when you choose a font, it needs to be something that's really clear and concise, and something that easily can be read from far away. Another thing that you can do is up here where you can click on themes and you can choose any particular theme that you want. Or you can then decide what kind of background you want, and you can change the colors if you would prefer to have like a purpley colored theme or a bright colored theme like this. You are welcome to do something like that. One thing I do want to make sure that you are clear about when you are making your presentation is if I was going to do a dark background such as this, I need to make sure that when I choose my font, my color of my font, etc., that it's going to be something that's legible from far away. If I make my font, for example, let's say I like this dark gray, this is going to be a little bit harder to see from far away. So part of your grade is also making sure that when you are doing your PowerPoint is something that if you have a dark background, you have like a white or a brighter font color. So in this case, I'm going to go back and just do another more simple plain theme, so I don't really have to worry about that, and it looks nice and neat. I know sometimes boys and girls like to get very creative when it comes to doing a different background with stripes and all this fun stuff, but you have to remember that you are being graded on sometimes what means less is more. Another thing that you can do in your PowerPoint is transitions, where if you want your transitions to do something like this or this, you are welcome to do that, where you can apply to all the slides. The one thing I do always tell kids is there is one particular transition that I do not allow, and I believe it's this one, partially because it's just too much for the eyeballs to take on, or even sometimes these really slow transitions. You don't want to be standing there when you are presenting your PowerPoint with something that's taking forever, and then you're kind of standing there awkwardly before it is time for you to present. One thing that I did forget to mention at the very beginning of my PowerPoint presentation is the fact that we need to make sure that we save your PowerPoint. This is something that you will make sure that you do at the beginning after watching this presentation instead of kind of towards the end where I did it. And this is where you're going to click your file, save as, and I'm going to do who my person is, so Martin Luther King Jr. Over here is where I'm going to select where I need to save it, and it in this case is going to be under desktop, and then you'll click save. Okay, once you are done doing all of your transitions and backgrounds and your fun fonts and things like that, that is when you need to make sure that you continue to save every time you do something. We've had lots of instances where in the past kids would forget to save and then they lost their entire PowerPoint, or they only saved the first time and then forgot to save after that. So please make sure that that is something that you continue to do. Inserting pictures is one kind of final thing that I am going to talk about real quick. If I am going to look at, if I'm going to look for information, if I have family life, he was married to Coretta Scott King. Another fact would be about how many children he had, etc. And after I do that, I'm going to hit save up here where it says, where it has the disk to save this presentation. And then from here is where I'm going to find pictures. Some very important things for you to remember when you are looking at saving your pictures is the fact that, or finding pictures, is that if you are going to plan on going on Google to find them, you need to make sure that I or another teacher in the room is there with you to find the pictures that you are looking for. If you are pulling your pictures from Groyler or Culturegrams or Worldbook from the Rockwell website, then that is not something that I need to be there with you to do. Those are the first places that I want you to look, are those 3 resources for your pictures. And then after that, I am happy to help you find what you need on Google or another search engine, but please make sure that you see me before you do that. If you have any other questions about this quick introduction to PowerPoint, of course, try rewatching this again in case you forget something, or you, of course, can bring your laptop and come and see me or raise your hand, and I would be happy to help you. I hope that some of this information was helpful reminders for you of how to do PowerPoint. Some of you have been familiar with PowerPoint, and some of you are not familiar with PowerPoint. So either way, this would be a great tool for you to use. I hope that this was helpful. Goodbye.